die because it's...
Welcome to the thrilling world of Security Squawk, where we explore cybersecurity. Guiding you through online threats, we'll aid you in understanding safety protocols and trends. Meet our gurus, Bryan from Exact IT, Reginald from Arc Solvers, and Randy from Tech Rescue. Together, we'll delve into current events and hot cybersecurity topics, helping you comprehend their impact. Stay informed, stay secure. Security Squawk, the business of cybersecurity. Buckle up, let's dive in.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
Ouch.
My computer wigged out.
Stupid Windows. And we just went live. It's all good. We can handle it, or we can talk to the black box.
Good morning.
We still got you, at least. That's what's good. Well, hey, welcome everybody to the podcast, Security Squawk. Got a little technical difficulty. He's going to have to reboot. That means we got to carry it, Andre.
There we go. We'll do it, man. How you doing, Randy?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. So we got a good one for you today.
That was wild. My dock on my computer is definitely freaking out. So we're going to have to put in a ticket after the show. So
there we go.
There we go. All right. Welcome. What's that?
Well, we were just about to tell people what the fee of the show is.
No, okay. I'll start.
Okay, go for it.
I got it ready to go. So, welcome back to Security Squawk. I'm Bryan here with my boys Randy and Andre, who obviously saved the day there when my computer decided to freak out when I hit go. Today we got a theme. People keep clicking, guys. Companies keep slipping, and the attackers keep cashing the checks. Andre's going to kick us off today with a ransomware case out of Nevada where an employee downloaded malware because, of course, they did, and it took down the state systems. Randy, you're going to bring us a story out of Japan where Nikkei managed to lose 17,000 records because Slack credentials walked out the door. Yes, Slack, the communication tool. And this is where we are now. And then I'm going to close out the show with what's becoming a weekly reminder that healthcare is basically a buffet for these threat actors. We've got the NHS over in the UK investigating an Oracle EBS breach claim and Doctor Alliance here in the US hit with ransomware with over 1 million files stolen. Healthcare is getting hammered and the numbers are brutal, and I'm going to dive into it. So let's jump in, Andre. Take us to Nevada. What's going on here?
Oh, man, this is a really, really sad story. Layers and layers of no security, basically. So basically what we have is a Nevada state employee. He accidentally downloaded a fake software tool from a spoof website. So he basically got a phishing email. He clicked on it. It had a malware hidden in the back door, and it was not detected for 6 weeks. It took 6 weeks. So it was downloaded May 14. And then on June 26, here's an old word for you, semantic, if you guys remember that. Finally, semantic finally quarantined it, but by then it was too late because the hacker stole 26 credential accounts. They got remote access and they were able to quietly move throughout the state systems. So we see a lot of different failures here. First thing we see is that the employee was able to just download something without your basic admin credentials being, typically you have to put in an admin credentials for some type of software to install. That didn't catch it. There was no zero trust. That didn't catch it. There was no EDR background that was actually saying like, hey, there's an anomaly here. What's going on? That didn't catch it. Then you had the logs were wiped to cover the tracks. Nothing caught that. Then they went into their backup and deleted backups, encrypted virtual machines, and over 60 government agencies were impacted, which for me, I'm also suspicious about that because I understand it's the state, but I would imagine, the health department and the DMV and the public safety and all of the other different agencies, I don't know if they all fall under one IT director and they're all sharing information, or do they kind of work in silos? But as an impact for this, they refused to pay the ransom. It's $1.5 million later. They're back up. It took over 28 days to recover. And they're saying right now, hey, only one confirmed stolen file so far has been done. So nothing to, nothing to be concerned about. But we know there's going to be a big fallout from this.
Nothing to see here.
Move along.
Thoughts, Randy?
Yes. So, the glaring elephant in the room. What kind of cybersecurity plan did this state government have in place? Was it just that they had Symantec on some machines? Was it a personal version of Symantec that just happened to catch it? Or was this their enterprise version? Do we know any of those questions like that, Andre?
No, just that Symantec finally quarantined it, but it took about 6 weeks for it to catch it.
So it probably was a 0 day that they didn't know about for 6 weeks. And so then, yes, my comment then, Bryan, would be you can't just use, looking for viruses anymore. Like we could do that in like 2010 or even maybe 2015. I don't know, where you looked for files and signatures and hashtags and all hashes, and all that stuff. But you just can't do that anymore. You've got to look for that, but you've also got to look for the fancy word is heuristics, like what those files do. So you got to look for suspicious behavior. Basically, you got to look at your network. What's going back and forth across your network? Anything suspicious there? All this stuff needs to be collated together and then analyzed by machine learning / AI, help of humans, whatever goes in that mix. But does it look like any of that was happening, Andre?
No. And I would say if you're going to run Symantec, you might as well put McAfee on it, let them run concurrently, right?
That sounds like a bad idea.
That would slow down the machine, though. But yeah.
So anyway, it's very interesting. I mean, when we go out in the world and talk to companies, I mean, one of the number one things that these companies absolutely do not have to the T is what's known as a security and operations center, backing these antivirus tools, right? So put it this way, right? If your antivirus tool catches a threat at 1 a.m. in the morning, who's there to deal with it? Who's there? Who's watching it? Like, is that something where the guy, when he comes in next week at some point and checks the antivirus logs, is going to see it? And God knows you're probably not even using centrally managed antivirus. So you're basically relying on your employee who downloaded the thing in the first place, which, let's be frank, if they didn't know to not download it in the first place, they're probably not very security conscious. So when something pops up on their computer saying like something was blocked or you have an issue, we found something, I don't have a lot of faith that person's going to reach out to people in a timely manner and say, hey, I got a problem here, right? And that just creates time. So having a SOC in place that's monitoring these tools from a central location, all the little endpoints that you have out there, and something bad happens, you have a team of people that can react on this. And I would say it's still missing in probably 60% of the businesses out there. I would say, it's so funny because I don't mean to go off topic, but like everybody would talk about the cloud and businesses moving to the cloud, right? And I believe now, this is the time right now where cloud is taking off, right? Everybody's like, oh, cloud was taking off 10 years ago, 5 years ago. You're going to miss the boat, if you weren't in the cloud 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. No, that's not true. Like everybody's moving to the cloud now. So this stuff with SOC and these advanced levels of things, these are probably things that companies aren't really going to understand that they need and how to implement them and why they're important for probably another 5 to 10 years. So we're going to be dealing with all the issues that we're going to get into today because companies just choose to not lead on this stuff. Like they don't lead on employee training, which is the root cause of what Andre's pointing out in this article. And then they don't lead on proper cybersecurity protections. And that's kind of where we're at today.
Hey, Bryan.
Yeah.
So you mentioned something and it's a huge thing you mentioned, but you just said it and it was one word in 100 sentences. You mentioned time. What does giving criminals more time? Why is that such a big deal? Why is that an important part here? They got 6 weeks. Why is that such a big deal?
Because they just the easiest way for somebody who doesn't understand technology to think about this is imagine somebody's casing your business or your property from outside your property, right? They're sitting in front of your house,
gosh.
right?
Yes, yes.
And they're just watching everything that you're doing, when you come, when you go, how you walk out the door. Do you lock your doors? Where are your cameras positioned?
Yep.
They're figuring all that out, so when they start to move, they don't trip anything off.
Yep.
And oh, by the way, when you go to work, I'm going to walk down the side of your neighbor's property, walk towards your house. I'm going to flip some, windows open, or I'm going to prop some things open to make it easier for me for when I do act. I have multiple ways that I know I can get in, and I don't need to rely on you leaving the door unlocked.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what these guys do.
And in this case, it's almost like you let them into the house to stand over in the corner and watch what you're doing for 6 weeks. Imagine that. That's scary as crap, dude. Right. Imagine if you had someone in your house for 6 weeks, just casing the joint, figuring out all your ways, what you talk about, everything. I mean, the advantage that would give them, that's disturbing.
Yeah, over 26,000 files were exposed. They're estimating so far.
It's just crazy, and you give them more time. So, and again, it goes back to leadership, guys. If leaders don't start making this a priority, we're going to continue to have content for the show forever. It's just the reality. So
yeah, I don't think we've ever had a show that just said, "Hey guys, I mean everything's positive today."
It really happened. We're doing a great job. Yeah. It's just getting worse and worse and worse, and and the attacks get more sophisticated and better, and it's just no good. And it's just because we choose to bury our head in the stands. So in the sand. So all right, let's move to Japan, Mr. Randy. Nikkei just exposed 17,000 records because attackers got a hold of Slack credentials.
Yep.
What's happened here?
Well, okay. So it's funny. Well, it's not funny, like ha funny, but we were just talking about letting an intruder into the house. And basically what happened here was they let an intruder into their networks for 3 weeks. And the reason I picked this, like y'all know, we try to focus on mostly American hacks, but we'll look at some international hacks. And I feel like the last 3 weeks I've talked about them because there's so much to learn from this as a business owner. What happened in this case, you had an employee at their house with their home laptop or their home desktop or who knows what, but they had their own machine at their house and they logged into a work account at their house. So they're doing their thing, and every once in a while they're checking their work email, or not their work email, their work Slack is what they logged into. And they're doing their thing. Maybe they don't even have Slack open very often. Who knows? But then they were able to, they clicked on a link at some point. They got the info stealer malware on their personal computer at their house. Nothing to do with work, right? No, y'all, when they signed in to their work Slack on their personal computer at their house, then their personal computer got hacked by the info stealer, which literally does what it says. It steals your info. One of the things that the bad guys were able to do is what's called a session token, what we've pretty much always called a cookie. Everybody's heard about cookies. Some people know what they are. It's a little file on your machine, basically, that says, I am who I am, and I'm logged into this. So the bad guys, they take that session token, they go over to their machine, they put it on their machine, and they're able to get in to Nikkei's company Slack for about 3 weeks. Slack is a chat app where people can chat back and forth about work mostly. You can do it for projects and other things. A lot of people have used Slack before. It's a great product, but the bad guys are in there for 3 weeks. They're taking names, they're taking emails, they're taking data, taking whatever goes across the chat with this person that they basically are listening in as. And then they were able, the bad guys were able to expose 17,000 records because of that. Names, emails, and chat histories. This is something that we have to look at. Y'all, back in I think it was the end of 2023, I remember saying and it might have been into 2024, but I don't think it was that recent. I remember saying whatever the next year was, I remember saying 2024 is going to be the year where we finally fix the session token problem. It ain't fixed yet, y'all. Somebody can still log into Slack, and then your session token gets stolen. You go to a coffee shop that's hacked, or they get onto your computer as a bad guy, and then they can be you anywhere else in the world. And there's some things that we have to do to stop this. One, as a business in your company chat, never, ever use passwords. If you do, delete them right away, but never use passwords. You should use a password keeper to share passwords with each other. Like we did a whole episode on that. If y'all want to search and go, same stuff we said then still holds today. And the ones we recommended still hold today, but don't use chat for your passwords. You also, if you are a developer, a software developer, make your tokens expire. Make them expire once a day. Yep, pain in the butt. You got to sign in every day. Too bad. It's better than your whole company getting hacked. Also, make those session tokens. If they go to a different IP address, you got to sign in again. Once again, people are going to have to sign in more often. That stinks, but it's better than your company getting hacked. And then you need to have either written policies that people agree to, or policies in your software world, like your 365s or whatever, where people can't use company stuff on personal devices like this. Or you set parameters for when they can and when they can't. And this could have been prevented. This is not the first big breach these guys have had. So somebody over there needs to get their stuff together and get them back in line with what they need to be doing. That's all I got to say on that. I know it's quite a bit, but this one here, so much we can learn from this to help protect ourselves by just paying attention to what happened here.
Yeah. And I think this is one of the weakest links of when it comes to cybersecurity is these third-party apps, because when you're talking with friends and maybe you have not friends, but with coworkers, and someone's like, hey, I need the password for this, or, it's just these quick messages, you're just putting it in this internal communication, just thinking that it's secure and it's just that private conversation between, party one and party two. But then when the account gets compromised, then they basically can see all of that. It's very similar to when people were keeping all of their passwords and notes on Apple Notes. And then if their iCloud got popped, then from there, the bad guy sees everything. So goes back to training. And yes, you want to train your employees not to email sensitive information, but you also have to remind them these private, Teams or Slack channels that you have. You also need to make sure that you're not sharing sensitive information as well.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead, Brian.
Well, and you're, first off, I'd like to point out you're picking on Slack here because that's what this company used, but this can happen with Teams.
Yep.
This can happen with Discord, and
Yep.
it has. And it has happened with Teams, right? It's just not widespread, or it impacts one company. But session tokens can be stolen in the M365 environment with Microsoft. They can get in your email. They can get in your Teams. They can get in your SharePoint, right? Mm-hmm. And that's, to me, a bigger deal. Slack doesn't have those features. Slack doesn't have email. Slack doesn't have a file repository, right? So if you use these cloud vendors, you have to be mindful of this stuff and how much stuff you have in there forever and ever and ever, and maybe have some policies that clean things out after a while, right? Because it can become like a storage unit full of forgotten stuff. And if somebody gets in there, you're begging someone to walk in and just help themselves to years and years of data in your storage facility.
Yep. And I would say, we've talked about this before, Brian, but when it comes to zero trust, which is like the buzzword, around, but it's a very real thing around cybersecurity and basically a cybersecurity mentality. What I try to teach is to teach people to assume the bad guys are already there. So when you're chatting, your chat needs to be stuff that if the bad guys were looking at it, it's just chat. You're not using your chat to share the very sensitive information and things like that. And that's just something you got to keep in mind when you're using these, especially third party. But like Bryan said, it could happen. It could happen in your teams as well. But at least I can't speak for Slack because I don't know if Slack has it or not. But at least with 365, you have telemetry built in. And like if a token is stolen like this, like I know the way we have it set up, we get a call. If the token went from here, from like South Japan to North Japan or of impossible travel or whatever, we'd get a call about that. And I don't know if you can do that in Slack or not.
Depends on the tool, monitoring tool.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. So, all right, guys, let's jump into this healthcare discussion that I want to get into because I found two articles that happened in the last 24 hours or so. One over in the UK, but I see this stuff happening here in the US too all the time. And at NHS over in the UK, which is their national health system, is digging into claims that Oracle e-business suite, their environment got compromised. The hacker group is Clop. This is a notorious group, folks. They don't mess around. They probably have the information that they say they have. This is the same gang that's been hammering the Move It FTP vulnerability that hit a lot of hospitals and related supply chain targets. So this wasn't some intern clicking a link. This was an ERP level vector that touches financials, supply chain, HR, the backbone systems of companies. So the part that most people miss here, guys, is attackers are shifting away from these low value machines and going straight for big systems that multiple hospitals rely on. A single ERP breach like this can cascade across dozens of connected organizations. And that's where healthcare is dangerously exposed because they move to systems like this, Oracle e-business suite, that, think of it as like all of these hospitals, all your health records, they all live in one condo and they just rent a condo in that big complex, right? So if that big condo, unit, building has a problem, there could be hundreds of healthcare organizations that are impacted by that. So that's number one. So, I mean, this is what's going on in the UK. And then I want to highlight what's kind of going on here in the US with this $200K ransom on Doctor Alliance. They got hit with a 1.2 million file theft, guys. 1.2 million file from this Doctor's Alliance were stolen, and the attackers only want 200 grand. And that number isn't insane because the data volume is massive. This is showing everyone how normalized ransomware has become. It's kind of just another Tuesday now for criminal groups. So the point of what I'm saying here is we're no longer seeing these outlandish $1 million asks for these kinds of attacks. And that's what we would see, I would say, just maybe 6, 7, 8, 9 months ago. They're now coming in at a number that is below what most people are going to file an insurance claim for. Right? It's these smash and grab things now. This is a huge organization that they can kill. Andre, you can go do your research on this company, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to agree that like a couple of years ago, they'd be asking for millions.
Yep.
They're no longer doing that. So again, we're pivoting, we're changing, and that's what's happening in the world of healthcare. And just to give you a picture, if you're in healthcare, ransomware groups claimed 5,461 victims last year. 5,461 just in healthcare. Their data is valuable, healthcare, and their downtime can't be tolerated. So they're a massive target because they have to pay. And I think an organization like this probably has $200,000 laying around.
Yeah.
They probably can write a check for $200,000, no problem, right? And they're not going to want to get, insurance involved. And quite frankly, I've seen how these companies behave, right? They will pay the ransom and try to move forward like nothing ever happened. Not report it, not even recover the systems in a proper manner to even assure that they won't have a problem down the road.
But why did they then post it or leak, like tell the world on the forum that we had it? Like you would think they would privately talk with the hospital. So is the hospital kicking back and saying, although this is a bargain deal, we're not going to pay you?
I think at the end of the day that this is part of what happens. Like they're releasing the data as part of this whole extortion scheme, right? So in order to get paid, they're releasing data. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
It's just I guess their tactic.
Yeah, it's just a tactic. Correct. So that's what happens. There's no guarantee that once they have the data, they're not going to leak it at some point.
And I know Andre's got a role.
Yep. Either before you pay or not, right?
Now, so my question though, because I understand everything you're saying, but why specifically are they going down to a lower price? Are they going to a lower price because if they ask for $1 million, they won't get it? The companies just tell them to screw off. But do they feel like if they only ask $200K, that the company will just write them a check and be done with it and not give them any crap about it? Is that basically why?
Right. Think of it like they've learned over doing so many ransomware attacks that it's more time consuming. It's more resources on their side, the criminals, to ask for these outlandish numbers because companies have to sit there and hire a lawyer. Look what the cause and effect is of everything, right? Yeah. They ask for these outlandish numbers. So now you got to get these breach attorneys involved, and breach attorneys became a cottage industry, right? And you got to get forensic people involved. And you're getting all these people involved because you have to when you're asking for these kinds of numbers, right? And now when you go low, you're going to get paid. You're probably not going to have to deal with people who are being paid on the insurance company's payroll. And you're probably just going to have to deal with the company and maybe the IT guy. Right. And that's really the tactic. The tactic is like, we're going to give them a number that's so low that they're not going to go seek all these resources. And it's playing out to where I've seen companies just completely get the keys, unlock their files, and move on like nothing ever happened.
Yep.
So
that's totally what they want to do. And then they're not going to do anything. Do you remember when we looked at that chat where they had 2 levels of pricing? They had the we will unhack you and you can go on your way. And that was like, $20,000, or you could pay $24,000 and we would give you a cybersecurity report to tell you how we hacked you so you could fix it. I wonder if that $200K, does that include the cybersecurity report so they can not get hacked again? But you're right. It's crazy.
It always does, because that's how they present themselves. Like, hey, we got in and we're here to help you.
Right. And we've been quoting for so long. I don't think the statistic has changed. There's a statistic. I think it's 80% of all companies that get breached once are going to get breached again within, what is it, like a year or something like that? And that statistic is still holding. And it's been a thing for
multiple times,
years or 6 years.
It's usually multiple times within that.
Oh, it's crazy, man.
So check it out. Luke brought us some updates from over his way as we talked about that Jaguar Land Rover one a couple months. You did, Randy, a couple months ago. And he said that they're now learning that it impacted their economy so much that it impacted probably their GDP.
Wow.
And it absolutely, those things will definitely happen. I think in the U.S., Luke, we bury that information and we cover it up. because I think there's definitely been cyber attacks that have impacted our GDP, but they just cooked the books. So, but he does say again in another comment, our government budget is coming up soon, and then they're going to find out, what the impact is. Just a heads up. I mean, they'll probably minimize the impact. They'll probably say it had some impact, but it's, it's going to be minimized.
Yeah.
So
we also had a shout out to Andre earlier. Way to go, Andre.
Yeah, man. So, hey, if you got value out of this episode, we appreciate everyone out there. It looks like we've got a new guy who wants to say hi. There he is. You know him. But if you got value out of this episode, hit like, subscribe, drop a review, or share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want to support our show, you can buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Security Squawk. It helps more than you think. And we'll catch you next week. Stay safe out there.
Yeah, great show today, guys.